Hello, everybody. This is Tarot for Our Times with Sarah, your medium, on the go. And today, it's almost like, where do you begin? Today, I want to focus on the Death card because it does speak of things that we need to let go of to take that journey and to transform. And there's a lot of symbolism in this. So I want to deal with the king is dead, long live the king, which means, and I was inspired by a video I saw on the I've Had It podcast. And if I can find that, I'll probably, hopefully, because it was earlier today, that I will put that in the comments section. And they basically said, they did talk about Trump being a performative person, and that we actually have been in one big reality show, and we're all guilty of it, that we've been brought up to worship athletes and movie stars and this kind of a thing. So here we had our first showbiz president with Reagan, although his style was different altogether. Of course, a lot of ways the stuff that he did is probably a big reason why we're where we are today. But be that as it may, it's a combination of this whole Hollywood mentality of raising people up to godlike stature, and also it's about looking for gurus to fix us. And I would say that we're all guilty of that, but it seems as though people in the metaphysical community might be a bit more vulnerable to this. And I've noticed that the different from the American style is when you go and take a course, say in mediumship or healing in the UK or another, or in a European country, they always have a team of tutors. Now they'll have the head tutor, and he picks his team, and that's a big way of saying that, there's no one person that has the answer. And this is the subtle way in which they say it, with very few exceptions. Taking classes in the US, even those that will go on for, say, a week, 5 days, which I've taken in Lilydale, usually just has one person. And they've been all day classes going from, the morning session and then the afternoon session. And with a little exception, it's mostly been taught by one person. And to me, that's, that's the danger in that lies, and is if they tell you, I have the answer, I am the only one. So then here we have the Hollywood Trump blending into the guru Trump, because it's only I have the answer. And I have run across teachers in my field who find, if you go to some other teacher, they feel like they've been betrayed and that you're disloyal. So this really has permeated into our personal lives, and then here this is what we end up with. So and then I did have to write down something because there's a lot to unpack here. I would say then it is as it always comes back to Epstein, which in the thumbnail he's in the flag. His ghost is in the flag. The way that he enticed these young girls, that he and his Confederates enticed them, is like, I'm going to make you a model. I'm going to make you a star, which is one of the oldest ploys of, if you want to call it seduction, or maybe coercion might be, coercion is a much better word. So here we have that. And going to the even darker side of, going as far as my community goes, going to a dark side of this was the QAnon phenomena. Now, yesterday being I think I'll say yesterday because I will get this up before midnight. So, yesterday's fifth anniversary of the insurrection on January 6th. You know, when I was watching that unfold on TV 5 years ago, and I saw the QAnon shaman, I wasn't at all surprised. In fact, I would have been surprised if someone like that hadn't been there. And he's pretty much the embodiment of, you know, some of the people. I blocked a lot of them the previous year. I was blocking them right and left. A lot of people that are, you know, and I would say from Europe to British Columbia and the West Coast, a whole array of them. You know, they're kind of the darker side of what we do. You're glomming onto conspiracy theories. A lot of them kind of got suckered in by well, first it was that COVID was a big hoax, and then later on with the vaccines. And so what they did in that community, see the Bible thumping MAGAs and the pickup truck crowd, they made Kanks a god in the Christian, in the Christian sense, or the Christian God. The QAnons, they made him a god, but more kind of like some of the as I did my research, more like some of the occult people in the 1930s, and likened Hitler to a god, like a Norse god, that kind of a thing. So they pretty much posted in the spiritual community, and they started appearing with buzzwords like deep state and save the children and all this sort of thing, which sounds all, you know, nice and all that sort of thing. Thing is that they kind of suckered in some of the mainstream people who kind of, maybe they didn't exactly join up, but they thought, oh, well, they have their opinions, so I'm going to air them. And I think that this is the thing that annoys me so much about my crowd is this is what happens when you do not follow history, politics, and some of them have taken really pride in the fact that they can't be bothered with politics. So there were some people that actually gave them credibility and more airtime. So then we have the Hollywood effect of a lot of people in the that I started to see. I think it was once the Long Island Medium show got really hot. At our spiritualist church and other people around the country, maybe around the world, said that these people were kind of popping up. The ones that were popping up now, they have some talent and some abilities, but coming to the spiritualist church and, you know, getting really great really fast, and then crashing a little later, you know, going in with the ideas, I'm going to be another Teresa Caputo or John Edward, and I'm going to, you know, so, which was their main goal. Now, having said that, I would also like to say that there have been many in the spotlight that have done this a lot of good because they've educated to people about the continuity of life and the spirituality. And sometimes the line can be that thin between those who and others who are in it to be stars. And sometimes there's a mixture of both. So I don't single anybody out. Some of the tutors that Arthur Findlay did, which was kind of funny. So I don't single them out because sometimes it's very hard to tell. But that's something in our community that I think that we need to look at. And as far as this whole thing and I've talked about this before, is the stardom, the Trumpian stardom, and he is quite a performer. It got people sucked in, and so there were those of us that said, "Oh, that I'm never going to be, you know, suckered like that." But then a lot of us, and I probably caused some controversy, voted for John Fetterman and have lived, and now we're living to regret it. And, if we really look inside ourselves, it's a lot of it is about the same reason that people voted for Trump. And then now we're wondering if there is really any difference between those two. And instead of taking a look at the not so flamboyant but down to earth Connor Lamb in the primary, my feed is full of people who really, really regret that vote. And I understand that kind of on our side of the fence, we did that too, and hopefully we won't do that for a president. So at any rate, I want to make sure I've covered all of this. And so I also want to say that on that video, and I may be posting that link long after the video comes up, because it goes like, with those ladies, if you go way back this morning, it's like they've got 50 million other videos up. So at any rate, but they do end on a high note, and they do warn against doom scrolling and getting into the mindset like, oh, they're going to go and fix the election, we're not going to have an election, and all this kind of stuff. And I would say, and they said, do not get into that mindset, then you're playing into their hands. You be sure that you vote and you get your friends to vote, because when people come out in large numbers, all the muskrats and, douchebag little boys that he has, the little nuts with a Z that he has running around, it gets to be too big to rig. And, I took that also to mean, although these ladies are not into this at all, I was saying, well, what they were doing was the law of attraction. Because you put that out there in the universe, that means you're going to be getting people it gets the energy going that you're going to get people to vote. And that's part of the goal of these videos, because as I've said previously, getting involved in activism is very spiritual. We have a long history of that with the feminists and the suffragettes and the abolitionists. Lots of them were spiritualists and mediums. So at any rate, what am I going to read? Okay, so what I'm going to, and I keep looking at, so I'm going to do a reading about maybe what we can do. And I do have to add one thing that is kind of upsetting. Before, just as I was getting all set up to do this, you've probably all heard about the ICE agent that shot the woman in Minneapolis who has died. And I believe that, and my guides are telling me that this was, they were waiting for an opportunity like this to get people out in the streets and riled up. So again, playing into their hands so that they can send in troops in, maybe declare martial law. So I do go along with Governor Walz when he was saying, exercise your First Amendment rights and protest, but for God's sakes, do not let it get out of hand. And I think that's going to take some self-control, because I think this woman was used for getting people, to riot or that sort of thing. So I think we did very well with the No King's Day. So I want to say that I'm getting a sense that it'll be emotional, but that it'll be very disciplined, because I've got a lot of people working behind the scenes. I was quite impressed back in October. So at any rate, as a secondary card for the death card for this one, let's see, we have the Sun in reverse. Okay, my interpretation of the Sun in reverse is, as much as they and this goes with this woman being, because I was trying to spin this, that she was attacking them or some bullshit like that. What this is telling us is that no matter how much they try to hide the truth, The sun shines through. It shines through on the cloudiest days, and that it's and also what this is about is when the truth comes out about these people, and you find out they've got human faults like the rest of it. They're not such big hotshot stars anymore. So with the sun creeping through the clouds as the days go on, his shine is really tarnished and vanishing. So I think I want to do just a general reading to see how this all seems to ooh, my business card. Ooh, boy, you see what direction that we will be taking, because this is very important part of the Great Awakening and the transformation that the Death card promises, putting people in their proper perspective. And it's, well, this card flipped up, so and what is it going to take? Oh, okay, this is interesting. We're starting off with the sun upright. Now the sun is upright. And so this is very kind of astrological. As it shines its lights, and it is written in astrology too, as the sun and the planets are really, really lining up for the truth to come out. It's like as each minute, I used to say as each day, as each minute goes by, there's something else. UN condemning Venezuela yesterday, and then on top of all of this woman is murdered by ICE. So let me see what the energy that we have here. Oh boy. King of Wands in reverse. This is really putting out Duck Larange's light, another nickname I like from the Hogarth show. And also that it's someone, the King of Wands in reverse, it's somebody that becomes really unhinged and ill-tempered, and also he is the unfaithful husband of the tarot card. So I think I'm going to use this pretty deck that I've been shuffling it anyway, so I might as well use it. So okay, so that's what do we have underneath all of this? We have the Empress in reverse. This is getting to be Russia. You know what Venezuela was a little bit of a canary in the coal mine, with Russia condemning the Venezuelan attack. Was maybe his way of saying, I'm not going to be here to really bail you out. So there's this going on as an undercurrent. Oh, Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups. This is I think this is what the sun is revealing, all of this. This is what the sun is doing. It's revealing the fact that more people are becoming aware that we have an unhinged adolescent who is really very mentally unstable, but it's kind of trying to feed us this romantic nonsense about making America great and go, all of that sort of thing. And I'm your knight in shining armor. That's starting to tarnish as he's becoming more emotionally unhinged. Also, seeing Rachel Maddow talk about how he started to threaten his people in his own party over budget meeting disputes. I'm getting a feeling that there may be a reckoning about talks of asking him to resign. Not who knows if he's going to do it or not, but at any rate. Then we have justice. This is the crux of the issue. This is what's getting people so frustrated. There has been like no accountability for this, but the meaning of this card is it seems like there isn't, but justice is going to get him on the universe's time and not as fast as we want to. But it always tells me that justice in reverse delayed means it's going to be awful. It is just not going to be pretty for him. But we may have to wait a little while, but with this health, you kind of wonder how long. So I do want to see something in opposition. I think I might be doing this a little bit differently than usual. So let's see, in opposition to all of this, we have the Five of Pentacles, and this is about the citizens of the United States, and maybe those that have voted for him, or this is not solving our problems while they're behind, this window partying and having a great time, or in invading sovereign nations, and who knows what's next. The Americans are left out in the cold. And I would say that this could be, as the sun shines light on this, what I'm going to say is there could be some unexpected allies coming into the fold. Now, she brought up a very good point in saying that, if they don't toe the line, that they'll be primaried. But the thing is, they get primaried and the Democrat wins. So, and they're down. They've got a super, super slim majority. So they may be finding themselves, the regime may be finding itself on the outside. It certainly does look as though it is getting worse. And so this is the great big lesson of we really have to get out of this hero worshiping culture, because we've been worshiping the wrong heroes, and heroes should be celebrated but not worshipped. Okay, so the interesting part comes. So on the conscious level, as far as the journey of the death card, and the part where the king is dead, long live the king. We've just got a stop with this celebrity and nonsense, because it's gotten us to where we are. So let's see. On the conscious level, the world is in reverse. On the conscious level, this is saying unfinished business. He has not done what he said he was going to do with inflation and the health care, all the things, the reasons that and also this American First. So people feel as though after a year, the cycle is not complete. And this may be for his followers, like, it's not complete. It hasn't done what it was supposed to do. So this is kind of like the crash and burn, to say now it's time to stop worshiping our false god. So subconsciously we have the fear that people don't have any bargaining chips, and that the fact is that in the upright position, this guy has the upper hand, because he's convincing the merchants that to create this beautiful piece of art, it behooves them to pay more, to do it his way, and they'll be really happy in the end. And he seems to be convincing him. Whereas in reverse, it's pretty much, no, they have the upper hand. They have the upper hand, and it is, it deep down inside, it's really seeing as things are now, the powerlessness of this poor devil here who works his behind off and is not getting anything for it. So that's pretty much on the subconscious level with a lot of people, perhaps his followers. So, at any rate, we're going to we're going to go a little bit into the past with this, and I have been shuffling away. Okay, so in the past with this, we have the, okay, in its upright position, they're getting ready to board the boat to take the journey across into a better land, but they cannot even get on the boat. This is the whole thing. They cannot get on the boat. And this is, I would say, this has a lot to do with people who think that maybe this doesn't affect them personally, or those, I mean, they're the hardcore MAGAs that they're going to just follow him right off the cliff no matter what he does. But I would say that perhaps some of the people that voted for him for the wrong reason are realizing it kind of goes along with these three kind of go along together. That they're not even embarking on the boat. So here we are in the present. Okay, so let's see what we've got in the present here. We have got, the Empress in reverse. I mean, you could talk about the lack of abundance and fertility, but I would say that this is Russia about ready to throw us under the bus here. Because they're looking after themselves, and I don't think they're going to get much out of us. It's sort of like things have not gone according to plan with them. So there's something kind of like going on, and it's possible that they may not see, well, they never did see him as the God and the Savior, but Putin sure as hell made a big show of telling people that that's what he was. And so I'm going to say they've got their problems. They probably know that we're not going to be real helpful because, it's like Greenland today, Canada tomorrow, Mexico, all of this nonsense going on. I want to do another one for the present. 9 of Pentacles. Okay, this is really important. This is people finally realizing that they are not going to be getting the wealth that they thought was right in the palm of their hand because their orange god was going to deliver. So part of this whole thing, maybe the awakening of the lower energy part of the populace is who haven't totally drunk the Kool-Aid is realizing, hey, there's no prosperity for us. So now they start to see the cracks in their idol. I'm not talking about the way extreme. I'm talking about those that have tippy-toed into the point of no return but weren't quite there. So this is what I'm talking about. He is definitely losing his followers. And this, they talk about the Great Awakening. Part of the Great Awakening means that the emperor, the king, is not so kingly anymore. So I'm going to take a little peek into the future here. Oops. Okay, a little bit into the future. We have the Page of Pentacles. See, the page is just about ready to he's got his money, so he's getting ready to share it um, with someone that's smaller, perhaps someone that is less fortunate. But uh, since he doesn't, this is about okay. Oh, okay. This is a real interesting meaning. I'm just getting the signals from the team. Is that with CBS and all of this stuff, that people are going to hold back from giving it to where they usually give it. So this guy, I would say this guy isn't underprivileged as much as, okay, that's the sponsor. Oops, my bad. Okay, that's sponsors of CBS and all these other things, or perhaps in the charitable sense of giving it to when he sends those awful emails out. So people that the funding for him may be drying up, and the funding for CBS, and that's another big God. It's like these network news things that we had in our home since we were born practically. That the little guy is not going to be supporting them as much and doesn't see them as the big corporate news and entertainment God. So this is part, and perhaps seeing something better they can do with what little money they have. Very interesting. So just peeking out a little bit more and getting all these reversals. Okay. They drank from the cup and regretted it. Absolutely drank up the emotional BS. And now she's going, yuck, pooey, fooey. She's probably going to spit it out. Or she's going, look, ooh, this stinks. Maybe I won't drink it at all. And then she's about ready to turn away and book on the hell on out of there. So, part of this is, I would say that what this tells me is that maybe people are going to do a little bit more of soul searching as far as, realizing that these people that they worshiped are just, know better than they are. They just have a talent, or that makes them a lot of money, but that's about the only difference. But when it goes to the top and it's the whole structure, that sort of thing, then you kind of start to see it falling apart. People leaving, and perhaps with the cups and the moon and all this stuff. You're seeing a lot of cups. I'm seeing pentacles, and I'm seeing cups and that sort of thing. That this is about a lot of major arcana, but with the cups is saying that there's this emotional leaving. And when you don't have these heroes and just say like, okay, that one's a good teacher, and that one's teaching me something that one isn't, that you start to realize that there's no one person coming to save you, that people are there to maybe help you, that maybe know a little bit more than you do, but in the end you've got to make your choices and save yourself. And there was a very wonderful British medium by the name of Mavis Patilla that I went to some of her lectures, incredibly accurate medium, who did pass away several years ago. And the one thing that she used to say that really puts all of this, and it doesn't matter, you could be a medium, a carpenter, just living, what she was saying, there's nobody that's really better than anyone else. It's just that we're all at different stages of our development. And that was so true. So we as mediums really took this in, but then I realized that applies to every other thing in life that people like to do or they're good at doing. And that really takes, and in fact, she was saying, I'm not such a big deal. I'm a teacher, but I've just been doing this a little bit longer. So she put herself out of being the guru, which in my line of work, that's really admirable. So as we move right along, So, in the whole world view is now that our overseas friends that are awake and aware, some of them aren't, they've got their own stuff to deal with. Um, that the ones that have been paying attention and following this, and it's like we're gonna how we see ourselves, and how that now that all the cracks are starting to show. So let's see. How we see ourselves is finally realizing we're carrying a big, heavy burden because of all the bullshit that was fed, because people that have a bigger bank account and get in front of cameras more are superior to us, but in fact, especially with the tax structure, we're carrying their weight. They're not paying they're getting their tax breaks, so guess who's that and a whole lot. That and a whole lot more. So this is like we're starting to see ourselves as we're getting tired of carrying the burden for everyone else just because they have more money, more fame. And it's a necessary thing to have that resentment for a while, as long as you don't go all French Revolution on them. Okay, so how others see us is interesting. The Queen of Wands, as we awaken, I think what they're saying is that they see the best in us, because this woman she's a leader, she's inspiring, there's something magical, the sunflower, she's spiritual, she's also a mother, she does it all. So I think the thing is that as they see those of us that are not, the Kool-Aid drinkers, that perhaps they have, it's comforting to know that what they're saying is that we know that they're not on board with the Venezuela thing, and that maybe maybe they need to see themselves as kings and queens in their own lives. But I have to say that I believe that is pretty much coming from the fact that of going back to the protests and everything, that they haven't gotten out of hand, that we are showing the world where we stand, and that there are various podcasts, and from these young guys that are like 22 years old, like Adam Mockler, and those people that are really asking the intelligent questions and making us aware. So most of them are really wonderful, and it's also how well organized the protests have been, but that we are speaking up. So maybe those that are aware of what we've been going through are seeing us in a better light, and at least in an emotional way supporting us. So I'm going to push these aside. I think I'm going to just get out another deck here and do the concluding thing about maybe changing our. Now this is not going to happen overnight, but I mean, if this we might see this, and this might mean his downfall, and we may just go gaga over some rock star or something. But maybe it's just keeping it in its proper perspective, and maybe as time goes on, admiring people but not worshiping them. I think that's the difference, and I think that's part of the big shift. That would be a very big shift, because that would prevent this nonsense from happening again. So okay, so in conclusion, again, with the Nine of Pentacles, she's reared her head before. Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles as the main indicating card here, and that and it may be saying, this one is saying to us that once we realize we're not getting the riches that the very few have, is saying that maybe that's not all that it's cracked up to be. because I always notice that she's in her wall. She's, she's not really free to go anywhere. She's got her beautiful dress and her, the money all around her. But she's kind of a lonely person. She's got her little birdie there, but he could go fly away. So that's very interesting. So let's see what we have. The Knight of Cups. It's like seeing the toxicity, and it's the toxicity that's going on in it. Definitely the toxicity. And in the opposition of this, we would have the let's watch the others fight, because as much as as we're awakening, we can distance ourselves from because there's major. We're hearing about some of it, but I'm telling you, the guides are saying it's a lot worse within MAGA and his inner circle than anyone would believe, and that as much as they're trying to hide it, it cannot be hidden, and it's very, very ugly. And this is what I've been saying all along, is that it may not take, instantaneously, but in the end, that is definitely going to be their downfall. And with this gang of nut jobs, drunks, and junkies, and dominatrix fantasy ladies and all this sort of thing, is that he kind of, they were kind of chosen because they're sort of like on the same page. But then you've got all this dysfunction in the ego. So I would say would only be a matter of time before they started fighting, and they are. We don't know about it yet, but what's going on in Congress is pretty much giving us an idea. So let's see, in the conclusion of all of this, whoops, okay, almost lost it. So in the conclusion of all of this madness, it's really about looking to ourselves to, we do have to operate in the world, but it's simultaneously, we do have to look in ourselves and become our own heroes, because what all of these cards are saying is that we've been looking for that magical someone to fix us, and it isn't going to happen yet. If we get together in numbers and don't let the egos get too much out of hand, we can be very powerful in a peaceful way, of course. But to even in our own group, don't fall into the trap of, we have that one leader to save us. Say, no, we have the one leader to learn from, but that this is the one thing. It's going to take a long time from getting away from all of this Hollywood and New Age guru-y bullshit. So that's what I've got. I'll see you soon. Bye.